Before we get started, I want to talk about how I generally work with student athletes and their families. We start with a no obligation conversation about your questions and concerns with the recruiting process, and if we decide to move forward, we will have monthly or bi-monthly one-on-one meetings where I address any concerns you're having and how overwhelmed you're feeling about the recruiting process, and we do a deep dive into what you're looking for at the next level. I will develop a highly personalized recruiting plan for you to make your aspirations a reality, getting you on the right college roster. With your input, we will develop your interest list criteria, and I will create a social media plan, a communication plan, and a follow-up plan. I will review a full game and highlight film and provide feedback on both. We will go over do's and don'ts on visits, navigating the decision-making process, and a successful transition into your first year as a college student athlete. Because we cannot forget the goal of the recruiting process is not to get recruited and post that picture on social media. It's to have a successful 4-year career on and off the court. And I want to repeat that because I think it's worth emphasizing. The point of the recruiting process is to have a successful 4-year career on and off the court. I can help you find the right fit, and I take the time to understand what that right fit means for you. This option is only for serious student athletes who are willing to invest the time into the recruiting process. If that sounds like you, click the link in the show notes to set up a free call with me where we can talk in more detail and I can understand how exactly I can best serve you. No matter if we work together or not, I will always do whatever I can to point you in the right direction.
Hoops through life. Hoops through life.
Welcome to another episode of Hoops Through Life, a podcast where we discuss the women's basketball collegiate recruiting process and transition from high school to college. I'm your host, Elsbeth Bierman. Our guest today is Coach Tania Davis. Tania played for 4 years at the University of Iowa. She started her coaching career in 2019 as a graduate assistant at Clemson University. From 2021 to 2023, she was an assistant at the University of Nebraska Omaha. She is currently an assistant in the Director of Player Development at the University of Iowa. Tania, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. So when you're watching a student athlete play in a tournament, what are the things that you're looking for?
First and foremost, we're looking for an individual who fits our system. So, for guards, we're looking for someone who can attack the rim, who can make open threes, who can make threes on the move, and who can also pass the ball. Right. Post players, we're looking for individuals who can run the floor hard, who can catch the ball, and who can finish around the rim. Those are just some tangibles that we're looking for on the court. Obviously, as a whole, looking for hard workers, kids with positive attitudes, kids who are great teammates, and most importantly, kids who are great people off of the court.
Mm-hmm. And so with that off of the court piece, like who are those people that you're communicating with to assess that part of the student athlete?
Yeah, so we communicate with high school coaches a lot. We communicate with travel coaches a lot. Those are our two main sources. If the kid has a individual skills trainer that they work out with, we'll also talk to them, just get some information from them. And then obviously we'll always talk to the parents, just to make sure that obviously they're good daughters, good sisters, good friends, things like that, right? Obviously things that, coaches don't see every day. And so just making sure we hit in all areas around that student athlete.
And I know I get a lot of questions from parents about like social media and those types of things. What type of vetting process do you all go through in regards to social media, if any?
Oh, we're on social media. We're definitely on social media, and we definitely watch a lot of kids on social media. At a young age, some kids they don't know better, unfortunately, and so they'll put something crazy out there, and for programs that don't take no crap. I'll just say that for lack of a better word. Some kids get dropped based off of that. And that's a silly reason to get dropped. But for us, we look at social media all the time. We follow our kids, like as much as we possibly can, as much as the NCAA allows us. But yeah, we definitely follow, keep up. Like that's a different way. That's another way of us keeping up and getting in touch with a kid without always having to pick up the phone and call and text and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's so hard, right? The balance between like seeing
Hmm.
something that they post and not agreeing with it, but then
Yeah.
also like teaching and learning and all of those things. So yeah, it's just like such a hard balance to strike between, dang, you posted that or retweeted that,
Yeah.
and then X off the list versus like,
Yeah.
okay, now I just kind of know where we need to teach.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And if those things happen where you post something, you retweet it, you comment, like, subscribe, anything like that, like I said, that's just the opportunity for us to get another touch with you. And obviously, if we don't like it, then it's just going to be something that was like, hey, what's up with, we'll get on the phone and be like, hey, what's up with, your reasoning, your thinking on, things like that. So it's not just a, oh, you subscribe, you did something wrong, we're cutting you automatically. Like, no, we'll give you an opportunity to explain yourself. And like you said, it's an opportunity to teach. And obviously, like I said, these kids are young, they're going to make mistakes. And so at the end of the day, you just have to be willing to stick with them and help them grow.
Yeah, for sure. So at what age does a typical student athlete in the programs you've worked for, at what age do they typically get on the coaching staff's radar?
Oh gosh. I would just go for right now. I've received some emails regarding seventh graders. So, seventh, eighth graders, that's when you really get on our radar. Not saying obviously that's when we're going to start recruiting you heavily, just because obviously we have to work on our classes before the seventh and eighth graders. But that's when you get on our radar. That's when we become aware of you, just aware of your name, and we put you down on our list. And obviously, the more we hear about you, the more we see you, then obviously that recruiting would pick up on our end.
So then seventh, eighth graders, what are you looking for as far as like their growth and development through high school
Yeah.
and things like that until you start, like, as you said, like seriously recruiting them?
Right, right. As a seventh and eighth grader, obviously you have a lot of basketball ahead of you. So you don't really have to be polished as a seventh or eighth grader. If you're polished as a seventh and eighth grader, then you're getting an offer immediately on
Right.
like on the spot. So as you grow, as you develop, especially like guards. I personally, I was a point guard, so I'm always picky on the point guards, just constantly getting better every single time, that I'm out and I see you, or one of our coaches are out and we see you, just getting better, developing or adding something new to your game. I think ball handling is definitely that's crucial, especially in our system. Shooting is definitely crucial in our system, but the more you develop post players, running the floor hard, like I mean, the intangible things, right? Obviously, as a seventh grader, you can run the floor hard, but you may not be able to catch and finish. And so, the first time I see you as a seventh grader, you can run the floor hard. Now, eighth grader, you're going to be able to catch. Ninth grade, you're going to be able to catch and finish. And then now you're in the ninth grade, you're able to run the floor hard, catch, make a move, and then finish. And so, obviously, like I said, just adding something new or developing in one specific area every single time a live period comes around.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that too, in the way, like the progression that you just gave, I think is an
Hmm.
excellent example because a lot of times I feel like a lot of students are like, well, I got to add this, and this to my game right now,
Yeah.
immediately. And it's like pieces at a time, right? And it's like the
Yeah.
patience. And I think that also speaks to like maybe a little bit of how they're working as well and like the
Yeah.
mentality that they have. So
Yeah.
even just having the patience to add something every year
Right.
goes a long
Right.
way in your all's mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
So obviously you don't have to become the best basketball player in one specific setting, right? Like I said, we understand as coaches, we understand that there's a lot of basketball ahead of these kids. And so just getting better at something once was every time that you go out and perform in front of college coaches, I mean, that's huge. That's really what we're looking for, as opposed to someone who's polished in the seventh grade. Well, then you don't really have much to continue to improve upon, right? Which kind of sounds crazy, but like you don't really have much to improve upon, and so your hype dies down a lot quicker.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. So you mentioned like, okay, maybe you put like a star next to their name. We're going to watch them as they grow. At what point do you all really start heavily recruiting student athletes?
Yeah, I would definitely say once they get into high school, we'll start heavily recruiting athletes. Like right now, our 24 class is complete. So right now we're looking at the 25s and 26s. Right now, 25s are our main focus. Once we get that, a couple more kids will be good. And then we're looking at our 26s, right? So I would definitely say high school, as obviously the seventh and eighth grader just continue to progress and continue to get better. And those conversations that we have with the travel coach, with the high school coach, with the parents, they continue to be good. Then that is just something that we will sit down as coaches and talk about and say, okay, we should seriously start recruiting this kid because they're really good. They would fit into our culture, and they're just a good person.
Yeah, for sure. So, oh, I was just about to say yes. Okay, so you talked about the different classes
Hmm.
that you're working on now. So what is the likelihood of a player who isn't like kind of tapped or like I know we're looking at this kid seventh, eighth grade. What's the likelihood of somebody like a dark horse, if you will, coming in late in the game and really getting on your all's radar? Like let's say, yeah, like tw like a 25 or a 26.
Yeah, very likely. Very likely. I can't tell you how many times that we've gone and sat on a specific kid and our eyes have started to either wander to the courts to the right of us or to the left of us, and we just see a kid just killing it, just killing it. I can't tell you how many times I've sat on the court and that has happened to me where I've started kids like, oh, yep, we got to get on this kid right now because they are at 25, they are at 26, they could possibly be making their decision soon. And so that likelihood is very high.
Hmm.
You never know. I mean, the saying is true. You never know who's watching,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
I could be coming to watch a kid and you're the standout, and I'm still loving the kid that I'm sitting on, but I'm also going to try to get in on you as well. So.
Okay. And so, but it sounds like most of that possibility is like seeing them play, not
Hmm.
necessarily not necessarily them reaching out to you via email or an AAU coach reaching out to you or is that still a possibility too?
That's still a possibility. I was just using like sitting in the gym as
Yeah, for
a
sure.
as an example. I can't tell you how many emails that I get a day of 25s and 26s, and our staff is so I review all of those emails that get sent to our staff. I watch all the film, and our staff asks me about, if the kid is legit, should we actually add them and things like that. So I sit here and I actually watch a lot of film of 25s, 26s, and making that help, I won't say making that decision. I would help make that decision on, if we should add that kid to our list, if they'll fit in to our system and, what I think about them.
Okay. So how many emails would you say you get a day?
Mm. I get a lot of emails, actually.
I believe
Yeah.
it.
Like I get a lot of emails. If they don't come to me, they'll come to our assistant coaches. And like I said, they'll just forward them
Hmm.
to me. So I get a ton of emails, especially leading up to live periods. Like this weekend is a live period. So just getting emails all throughout this week of, hey, coach, we're gonna be here. Let me introduce you to this kid. She's 25, she's this tall, she plays this position. So and obviously 9 times out of 10 our coaches are going to be in that at that event, and so it's easy for me to be like, hey, this kid is actually pretty decent based on the film, could you just go check her out when you
Hmm.
have free time on court 5.
Right.
So
Would you say plus or minus 75 emails a day?
I would say probably around 50. I wouldn't say
Okay.
75.
But that's still a lot of emails.
That's still a lot
That's
of
still a lot of
emails.
emails a day.
That yeah, yeah.
So
And
so go
I
ahead.
think I probably just don't get as many just because I'm kind of newer to the staff. The rest, like Jan Jensen, who was our associate head coach last week, but now is our head coach. I'm sure she probably gets that 75 for
Yeah.
sure.
But then she like forwards them to you, so then it's like
Yeah,
your inbox is like 120, 140, whatever.
yeah.
So so then how does somebody separate themselves? Is it mostly about the film or anything else?
Through email, I would definitely say the film. I say just because that's my first interaction with you. Like that's my first time seeing you, right? And so the film, another saying, men lie, women lie. I always say film don't lie. Like the film is never gonna lie. And so the film, that's first and foremost for me, and then obviously just going from there.
Okay. And so then let's switch gears to like your role as the director of player development.
Mhm.
So in that, so as a director of player development, what kind of is your role on
Mhm.
staff?
Yeah, so now since we're all, out of season, my role is just kind of a little different. I'm kind of more so behind the scenes doing a lot of integrating, helping our incoming class get acclimated to college life, helping them get accepted into college, applying for housing, all those different things, helping them just making sure that their transition into college is smooth. So I do that for our transfers and our incomers. That's really what I'm working on now during season, and as well as out of season. Just working out with players, individual workouts. I have a wide range, point guards, post players. I can work with all of the players. I do some scouting as well. And I'm also like the liaison between our academic coordinator and the coaching staff. So I do a little bit with NIL too. So I kind of have my hands in a little bit of everything, which is good. I like it that way.
Yeah, cool. So then what is the basketball time commitment for a student athlete in and out of season?
Ooh. In season, we're allowed 20 hours a week to be with our student athletes. So I would say the in season portion of the time demands is that it's pretty heavy,
Hmm.
right? It's pretty heavy. Um, And out of season, like now, our kids are gone for a couple weeks. They'll have to be back June 10th. I believe they got out of school last week. So they'll have to be back June 10th. And then once they get back here, um, we're only allowed to be on the court with them for 4 hours. Out of season is a lot different. It looks a
Hmm.
lot different. We'll have our practices or workouts in the morning, and then they'll have the rest of their day, whether they have summer classes or not. They can do whatever, but in season it's a lot more time demanding. We'll have a couple 3 hour practices, not a lot. And then obviously the rest of your day is filled with classes and doing whatever it is you need to do.
And so then generally, let's talk about during season.
Mhm.
Generally, what do your workout sessions look like?
It really just depends on the person. So if I'm working out with a guard, I always personally, whether it's a guard, whether it's a post player, I always like to start with ball handling, just to get you loose, just to get you warmed up, just to get you moving a little bit. So, we're always going to start with ball handling. If it's a guard, a wing, we're always going to do some sort of finishing. And then when we're in season, my workouts just consist of putting you in positions that you're going to be in games, right? And shooting those shots that you constantly are getting every single game. Just so when you're in the game, it just becomes second nature to you. And that goes for guards and post players. Post players, it looks a little different. I like to do a little bit of ball handling, a little bit of finishing, which would probably be Mikins or something simple. And then just playing through contact a lot more. So, yeah.
And so then what advice or, recommendations do you have
Mhm.
for high school athletes to kind of either mimic or best prepare for those types of workouts in college?
I would say first and foremost, going game speed, right? I think a lot of kids in high school, they don't necessarily go game speed, um, which is evident because when you get on the court, these like it just doesn't work out for you, right? It's not working out for you as much as it did in your individual workouts, and that's okay. But you live and you learn. So I would definitely say first and foremost, going game speed. And the second thing I will also say is less is better, right? I feel like there's this perception on working out and you have to work out for an hour, you have to work out for an hour and a half on the court, and that's not true. Um, Going game speed, less is better. I'm more about quality over quantity, right? If you're doing something the right way every single time, okay, we can do this for 5, we can do this for 7 reps. I don't have to do this for 20 reps. Unless it's a shooting day, then we're just going to get a lot of shots up, right? So I would definitely say going hard every single rep, quality over quantity. Like, don't go crazy because at the end of the day, you need to protect your body. And I think longer workouts, these kids are already playing in crazy amount of tournaments. So protecting your body and quality over quantity and going hard in those individual sessions.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll hear student athletes say, like, oh, I just spent 3 hours, 4 hours in the gym. And it's kind of like,
Yeah,
well, what were you even doing? Like,
exactly.
how could you even go that hard for that long and still like be okay? So I think, yeah,
Exactly.
I think that's a great thing to say and just to expect from the athletes that walk in your door because they have classes and they have other things that they need to do. So, yes, great. I'll have one more question, then I'll get to like the questions that I ask all the guests. But how does a student athlete kind of maintain their scholarship year after year?
Yeah. I think for us, obviously, just coming in every single day and doing what you signed up to do. I know that sounds crazy, but and it sounds simple, but it like that's what it is. Just coming in, working hard every single day, having a positive attitude, being a great teammate, being respectful, to not only your teammates, your coaches, but the support staff, the our athletic trainer, the men's basketball athletic trainer, right? And so um that is obviously the things that you can control every single day of your life. So controlling the controllables and then obviously just getting better, right? Getting better, whether you're the first person off the bench, whether you're a starter, whether you're the last person at the end of the bench, just constantly having that positive attitude, and getting better. Because there's obviously something that you could get better at every single time that you step foot on the basketball court.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so these are the last couple questions I asked all the guests. What book or podcast would you recommend every incoming first year read or listen to before the first season begins and why?
Ooh, that's a good question. Personally, I'm a basketball junkie, so I'm always lean towards anything like especially basketball or whatever sports you're going in related. So I would say I don't yeah, that's a good question. I don't have one any specific.
Well, just based off what you said, I thought like even just watching basketball, right? Like
Yeah.
just kind of watching basketball and like trying to take away different things that you can
Yeah.
and just learning a little bit more about the game through watching.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like yeah, yeah. We'll go with that because
Okay.
I don't think nowadays a lot of kids actually watch a lot of basketball. And to me, that also shows because, like I said, I was a point guard. My IQ is kind of off the charts. It's kind of crazy a little bit, and so I can understand and I know when a kid watches basketball when they don't watch basketball. And um, to me, when you watch basketball, that's like another film session. That's another way of working out. You're not physically working out, but you're working your mind out. And so, yeah, I would definitely say watch basketball. That's a good one.
Cool. And so, do you have a favorite point guard then?
Ooh. I can go all day. I have so like I don't have like I guess Kyrie. We can say Kyrie, but like I like point guards for different reasons. Like I like Russell Westbrook, his tenacity, Kyrie, the way he can finish and handle the ball, Steph, the way he shoots, Rajon Rondo when he was playing his passing, his IQ, Chris Paul, his IQ. So I have a lot, but if you're making me choose one, I'm gonna say Kyrie.
Okay.
Right now. Right now.
Okay. All right. So then what is something about the recruiting process or transition to college that you believe that other coaches might disagree with?
Um, I would say one thing that I think, and they might agree with me on this, but I know our staff does. I don't know how everyone else around the country
Right.
feels about it, is the less is better type of thing, that mentality. Um, just because, it's a lot going on, right? I think we're all paid and we're all pretty good at what we do, right? As assistant coaches and going out and evaluating talent. If we weren't, we wouldn't be in these positions,
Hmm.
right? And so it only takes us a couple of times to figure out who a kid is, right? And so I personally feel like less is better. I you got kids playing every other weekend, every weekend, every 2 days. right? And some coaches think that it's good, it keeps them in shape, it keeps them this and keeps them that. But I think personally, I'm still going to piggyback on the less is better type of thing, obviously, and just going hard whenever you're out there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and last but not least, any final words of wisdom?
Just work. It sounds simple, but just work. Obviously, nothing is going to be easy, especially when you make that transition to college. Nothing is going to be easy. Once you get to this level, everybody was the number one option on their high school team. Everybody was super good. They averaged double figures in scoring, and they could pass the ball well, they can shoot the ball well. So just work, right? Work to separate yourself, work to stay separated. And just always work to be a good and a better person than when you came in.
Perfect. All right, tonight, I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening. If you're looking for more specific recruiting advice based on your situation, head over to hoopsthroughlife.com today to schedule your free 30-minute strategy session with me. We will discuss where you currently are in the recruiting process, where you want to go, and create a plan to get you there. Again, that's hoopsthroughlife.com, hoopsthroughlife.com. And if you have any questions for me or questions you want me to ask future guests, you can email me at l@hoopsthroughlife.com. That's EL@hoopsthroughlife.com. I look forward to hearing from you soon.